In his homeland of Jamaica, he has paved the way for many who are visually impaired or blind. As a physiotherapist, he was once the president of the association in Jamaica, a past president of the Caribbean Council for the Blind. He was also the managing director for the Abilities Foundation, a voluntary organization. So far, life's journey for Wilbert Williams has been nothing short of remarkable.
I was, to all intents and purposes, born blind because at birth I got too much oxygen, and that resulted in my blindness. You know, when you're placed in the incubator as a premature baby, and in those days the monitoring wasn't as good as it ought to be. So I ended up being blind, and thank God other things didn't give me a problem, because they say that with that kind of situation you are likely to have mental disorders, mental deficits. So I don't know, I'm still trying to find out where they are. I went to the Salvation Army School for the Blind at an early age. And of course, my family went through stages. My parents were disturbed, they cried. But I had a number of brothers and sisters. I come from a large family. I grew up with 5 other siblings around me. My mother had 12 children in all, and I grew up with the 5 around me. And so I had to integrate, and I had to, you know, do what I am supposed to do. And I really enjoyed being with them, playing all the games, playing hide and seek, playing marbles, and all these sort of things. So I really found my place.
And it doesn't seem as though you were treated any differently.
Oh no. They accepted me in their own way without any training. They took me everywhere, they explained things to me, they showed me things, and that made a difference.
The years at the Salvation Army School for the Blind in Kingston prepared him for the challenges ahead. The young Wilbert was one of 2 guinea pigs to enter the public school system.
We both went to Excelsior High into the integrated program. And in those days, we didn't have any support, not the kind of support that you get now. So we had to go in there and survive, but we managed to survive.
And so it was he left the secure environment of the School for the Blind and became involved in this newly created integrated program.
Big culture shock. Because, well, on both sides, because the children there had to get accustomed to us, and we had to get accustomed to them. And in those days, we didn't have all the braille writing apparatus that we have now, so we had to use the hand slate and write everything by hand, and we had to use readers for everything because there were no books available in braille for us to use. And we managed to pull through. We even did geography with volunteers making jigsaw puzzles of the various countries, and we had to fit them together. And, you know, it was a good, fun learning experience for us. And we did the local examinations and then did our Cambridge school certificate, and eventually I got a scholarship to England to study.
In 1962, it was time for yet another adventure, this time away from home onto the Royal National Institute for the Blind.
Well, that was another culture shock, having gone there and having, you know, fortunately for me, I went straight into the Royal National Institute for the Blind School of Physiotherapy, and they had a very good hostel, and that hostel also had a library, so we didn't have to walk up and down with braille books. Books were at the hostel and books were at the school, so all that you were required to do is to read and remember what you had to do.
As he jogged his memory of the days in England, he remembered an incident that left him extremely proud to be Jamaican.
When they found out that people in Jamaica were really interested, because I was one of the first. There were two of us who went up. I was one of the first students from Jamaica to study at the school in England. When they discovered that senior figures in Jamaica took an interest in us, it made a difference. For example, I'll never forget that when Sir Hugh Foote retired, he came to visit us at the school, and the principal, really decided that we must be special for somebody like that to be visiting us.
At the end of his studies of 3.5 years, it was time to return home, where he was assigned to the largest public hospital in the English-speaking Caribbean, the Kingston Public Hospital, the KPH.
And I remember walking into the waiting room and calling a patient, and she hesitated, and then I heard her say to the other people, in blind, I'm in Argo. And that kind of broke my spirits, because when you qualify, you come home, you think you're going to change the world, and so I went back and I was so upset, and I said to my boss, she has refused, and she said, well, call somebody else. And I went out and called the second lady, and she said, if you now go, me now go neither. And I know that I was in trouble. And this went on for a while until my boss went out and said to them, well, all the other people have caseloads, and so you're going to have to wait until the end of the morning if you don't want to be treated by Mr. Williams. So she said, go back out and call the first lady. And I went out and called her, and she said, all right, now give a chance, but if anything happens, me and him. So she went and I took her information, tried to take her history. I think she got more of my history than I got of hers.
She was curious.
Yes, of course, but she allowed me to administer the treatment. And then she came out and said, oh, him alright, him can treat you, And that was my certificate. I think that was more important to me than the certificate that I had obtained from England. Because after that, I didn't have any problems.
Wilbert Williams eventually became a force to be reckoned with, working at other institutions such as the John Golding Rehabilitation Center and the Bustamante Hospital for Children.
And I think blind people all over the world can attest to this. You do the job, but when it's time for promotion, there's a little bit of hesitancy. People don't feel that you can manage at the higher level. And even when you've been acting in the position, they tend to want to question your ability to function in the job full time, which I find very strange. But we have to overcome all of those difficulties.
Wilbert Williams has now retired from active service, but he's still very aware of some of the problems, such as his pet peeve, the lack of attention to detail, such as the state of sidewalks in Jamaica and the region. He believes more needs to be done.
But unfortunately, a lot more needs to be done. More financial resources need to be put into education and training for people with disabilities. So we still have a long way to go, But I would say that we have come a long way, especially since the International Year for the Disabled in 1981.
Wilbert Williams believes that nothing in life happens by chance, and his message to the disabled in today's society is simply this:
is that your life is still before you, and you need to, the sky is the limit. If you are prepared to work, the technology will allow you to do all that you want to do, but you need to set your mind, you need to have a purpose, and you need to find your vision.